The 10th Annual Virginia Governor's Conference on Agricultural Trade in March brought the ambassadors from Canada and Mexico together with the Governor of Virginia and plenty of farmers. Everyone at the event agreed it was important for the state to secure farm exports around the world.
In 2017, Virginia exported $2.64 billion worth of agriculture and forestry products. That's about 30% of farm and forest cash receipts.
Our crops have had quite a bit of devaluation in the last few years, which has caused difficulties making budgets work for agriculture. And we need that trade to improve, and we need those commodity values to go up.
Governor Ralph Northam told the conference he remains committed to promoting Virginia farm and forest exports around the world and to working at the state level to update the North American Free Trade Agreement. NAFTA was signed more than 20 years ago, and Canada, Mexico, and the U.S. are currently negotiating an update to the treaty.
Since NAFTA was enacted in 1996, Virginia agriculture and forestry exports to Canada have grown by 475%, and to Mexico by more than 1,300%. These two countries alone import 17% of all Virginia agriculture and forestry exports.
In a panel discussion at the conference, the ambassadors from Canada and Mexico agreed a new NAFTA is in the best interest of all parties. But nothing's ever easy in world politics. When the conference was held the first week of March, President Trump had just proposed steep import tariffs on steel and aluminum products, a promise he carried out a week later. Canada and Mexico were exempted from the tariffs temporarily. Anything that threatens free trade worries American farmers, said American Farm Bureau Federation President Zippy Duval.
When we start putting tariffs on things, we can look back in history and see what happens. And it's exactly what Mr. Perdue said just a few minutes ago. Most of the time, agriculture gets the blunt of that. China is important to us. It is an important market for our soybeans and other agricultural products like corn, dairy, pork, and poultry and cotton. And let's not forget that China is a top market for Virginia. Exports nearly $3 billion of agriculture exports leaving Virginia going to China.
The threat of new tariffs certainly complicates NAFTA negotiations, but Duval and other parties say they're hopeful that cooler heads will prevail and a new treaty can be reached before the end of this year.
I think if we all stay calm and watch the professionals work through things, that we'll get back to some standards that work for agriculture and help with agricultural trade.
Engel raises corn, wheat, soybeans, barley, milo, canola, and rapeseed. Many of his crops are made into flour or animal feed, but a significant portion of them are also exported. American farmers are some of the most efficient in the world, and grain prices have been declining as supplies grow. So anything that slows farm exports truly affects Engel's bottom line.
We've talked a long time about how can agriculture produce enough food for the growing population of the world. That really doesn't bother me. I know that agriculture can produce the food. What bothers me is how those economies can afford to buy it. Doesn't do them any good to need it if they can't afford to buy it. And we've all got to have good trade so that all economies of the world can do well.
From the positive mood at the Governor's Conference on Agricultural Trade, it appears there is still plenty of goodwill among NAFTA negotiators, and hopes are other trade disagreements can be worked out. In Richmond, Virginia, I'm Norm Hyde.